Welcome. Thank you for joining today's London session. I'm looking at Audusd this morning, paying out at 75%. Forex Factory, that's the first thing we do, is check the red flag news. There's some USD news this afternoon. And the currency strength meter, which says it is weaker, as you can see here, 1 bar red to 4 bars on the US dollar. So that means we want to be taking puts. We call sells puts in HFX, and we call buys calls. So then come over to HourGlass just to have a look here. Find it easier to look at this chart. Some people do, so you can see Audusd 5-minute up here. It's not quite set on the right time, but it goes a bit glitchy if I change it. So I'm UTC +2 over here in Europe, mainland Europe. So you can see the midline here. And at the moment, it's right on that midline. Now we're just coming up to the hour. This midline is very important because either it's going to hold that line and go up, but we know it's weaker than the US dollar. So on the hour, I'm expecting it to carry on down. But at the moment, you can see it's saying oversold. It's below both these green lines. So we want to get a pullback. We need it to be overbought. And that can sometimes happen just before the hour. We use the quarters in this strategy, the double blessing strategy. So 15 minutes, 45, 15, half an hour, 45, or on the hour. So our next trade would be on the hour, but I only want to take sells. If you look over here, it says AUD, which is our base currency. It says 29, US dollar is 53. So this price here is how many Australian dollars you will get for your US dollar. And that price goes up and down, like as if we're in a foreign exchange booth at an airport going on holiday. It's telling us a put a minute ago at 917, and you can see it's just struggling on this line, and that's because these are called lines of support and resistance. And these lines, the ones that you see literally rolling along, they're what we call rolling lines of support and resistance. They vary according to how many of these bars or candles that we are measuring. And in this instance, each one of these bars is 5 minutes. And we take 3-minute trades within that 5-minute bar to give us the best chance of winning that trade. And that's why we're called time-based traders on this strategy, because timing is very, very important. So you can see now that our lines here are moving up. These are our momentum indicators, and it says B for buy, and it's moving up towards the hour. So we want price to come up, and then we would want to take a put. You can take calls, buys, but you're going against the trend if you're doing that, because this long line here is a 200 exponential moving average, meaning on the 5 minutes it's reading 200 of these bars, and that's saying over that period of time that it's pushing price down, it's forcing it down. So it's more risky to take the calls and go against the trend. So we want that pullback and then to take a put. So the next thing I need to do is come over to my chart here and put my lines on of support and resistance. So I've got it on D for daily, and I've got my white lines for that. So there is the highest, this green candle. You may have red. I like to use green. So at the top there, I've got it at the highest point that the probe went up to. That's what it opened at 357. And then here it's coming down here. I'm going to move this down to the lowest point. Now this is a live candle. It hasn't finished the day yet. So this, you can literally see that bar moving. So we never put a line on actual price because it's live, it's active, it's currently moving. And then we put our lines on the previous candle. So here I've got one on the lowest it reached, where it closed, again, that 351 level. And then up here, I'll just pop that there and I'll pop that one there. So the other critical thing to notice is it's moved past the orange dotted line, which is a very strong line of support resistance. And you can see it's 73000, which is a very strong line. It's called quarter theory, quarter point, and it's probing down to the next one at 25 pips further down. So that means you can see that Australian dollar on the daily is wanting to push down. And the other thing to note is this hidden bear, which means overall directional trend is down. And down here, we've got our RSI stochastic. This is our divergence. These lines here, you see here where it's parallel, it's come to the top, nice wide gap, and it drops down. That's what you're looking for when you're taking a trade for a put, or conversely, like here, for a buy or a call. So if we come over to HourGlass and look at, it's just got into the next, saying put score of 4 at 959. It's at the top, 951. So I'll just take, I've been talking, so I'm just taking that as a test trade to show you. It was a call score of 4. It was above the momentum indicator lines, nice little like mountain peak. That shows you the momentum as it crosses the red line, as it's going down. I've caught it on the hour. We know that it's selling off, paying out, oh, it's just dropped to 72%. And the peak it probed up to just before the hour. You'll often find price pushes up. Brokers are, doing funny things with the positions. So it pushed up to the 965, and then I got in at the 952 at 23 seconds past. The clock is slightly different because just the way the brokers got it. So I was a little bit, I'd done the analysis, but normally I would have been more closely monitoring this and looking at it. But as it was there, I took it to show you, and we should clear this one now. This says 3 minutes past is my expiry time. We like to get in for 3 minutes. Some people do fixed time. I tend to leave it on non-fixed time, but if you've got the clock here, if it's dropped below 2.5 or 2 minutes, you should certainly reset the clock here. But I leave the fixed time off, and it's paying out at 72%. So I've got 7.20 euros on a $10 order size. And I've got, this is just coming up to 2 minutes. So I've got 1 minute left in. So in 15 seconds, I have to decide if I'm going to roll over. Now the brokers now give you 30% more time. And that means you increase your risk. It would go up to $13, but equally your payout would increase. But you can only roll over if you are not in profit. So that's why the rollover button has not appeared. So I can't do that anyway. So I've got 30 seconds left in the trade. So we should clear this one nicely. Now, if you see where my horizontal line is, 913, we'll go back over to our chart and just see what that level shows us on 913, 915. See what that level shows us on the chart. It should be a line of support and resistance. So this one's just about to clear. No trouble with that one at all. And a green box will pop up. Red if you've lost. So red line here was for a put. It would be green if we'd taken a call or a buy. So now that's cleared, what I like to do is compound my account and put that profit onto my next trade. So I'm not going to do too much damage if there was a problem with the next trade, because it's the profit rather than eating into your daily opening capital. So let's go back now to our markups, and I just want to see where 9-1. If there might be a line when I mark up something else. 915. that lower level is round about there where the daily is at the moment. So that's where that lower level is. So this bar is a daily. So within this bar are many smaller levels as we go through the microscope and look down the level. And you can see it wick down to that level 890. So that's that sort of line we've been looking at on the broker chart. So now I've marked up the daily, I can come back to the 1 hour, and I like to use yellow lines on this. And I can just move them down, same principle, the highest that the previous reached. So let me know if any of you took that AUD-USD trade. Smoothing some of my previous lines. As most of you know, I normally only trade USD JPY. I've switched to this because the USD JPY has been consistently at 60% for a little while. I was up in my night time and I did take 3 trades on Tokyo and they all won, and that was on USD JPY, but the payout's lower, so I thought you'd want to, if you're coming on this session, I thank you for your time. We'll just clone that. You know, you'd want something with a decent payout if you're going to spend the time with me. So that is the previous open, a nice solid bottom. So that's a volume, means the volume is in there, in the orders, in the actual orders. And it went up and it probed up to try to get back up to the quarter point at that 0.373 flat, but it couldn't quite make it. So it's still in this downward push, but we'll see what's happening on the lower levels. So now I've marked my hourly. Then I will come down to the 15-minute. And what we're really looking for, the strongest trades are where the 15-minute, which I use purple lines, marry up with the hourly, because that's showing you, you know, an hourly candle consists of 4 15-minute candles or 12 5-minute candles. And you want to see, you know, on that hourly that it's giving you the same trend, that the 15-minute has opened at the same time, and that will give you a strong level of support or resistance. So the ones where you've just got a 15-minute or a 5-minute, not really congruent with an hour, are perhaps ones that you know you might want to take off or avoid. So I use purple for my 15 minutes. So again, previous candle, current candle. So that's very good because that shows you that 15 minutes. Coincidentally, I've just been talking about that, matches up with the hourly. So that gives you a strong ceiling at that 959 there. And let's take one down to the lower level. That's a very small candle at the 939. I will put it on there. It matches up with the previous one, and then I want one more. I'll just take one of these and I'll put that there on that. It formed a blue pivot at 913. There was that 915 level we were talking about. So there was that, excuse me, that trade we were in here. And I'll just change that, make sure I've got that on the right purple. But I'm not going to put one here. I could do, that's the lowest level it's reached, which is the 880 so far. So maybe I'll just move one more down. But that line can move within this 15 minutes. It's still active. So that's the lowest probe, but it is still active at this level of 880 on that hourly. But that kind of is giving us a range at the moment. So you can see strong downward trend, a retrace back up to the hour, and then it's been dropping. So where is it heading? It could be heading down here, but we'll have a look left, look at our history to see right, is what we always say. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. So it looks like it could be heading back down here, doesn't it, to retest this area. But if we come down here, it hasn't given us anything here, but you can see doesn't say hidden bull. This bull without the H in front of it is saying that there's a retrace going on. In other words, that was telling you that that trade was there, and that was off the 8 a.m. UK time candle up. And now you can see they're at the top here on my momentum indicators. So we're looking for that cross down on the 15-minute, a possible trade on the 15-minute. But I've got 6 minutes to go to finish doing the analysis. So now I've done the 15-minute, I come down to the 5-minute. And we can see this blue line is still, these others are Bollinger Bands. You can see it's tightening here. In other words, a bit of consolidation going on as they get narrower. These are like elastic bands, price moves between them. And this 200 moving average is a longer term one, but you can see it's still acting as the ceiling, forcing price down. If it was below, we'd be taking calls because it would be telling us the trend is up. But within those, you can take trades either way, but they're less, we're looking for the most probability of winning the trade. There's a little doji candle coming there, bouncing off this 882 level where it's formed a little blue line there, lower pivot. But anyway, let me finish my marking up. So red, I'm not going to mark these two, they're too small. I'll have to put it back up there. So that's a very strong line there up at that 963 level. It's got 3 of them on it now. Take one of my old blue lines and put it at the bottom of that green bar. Now notice there were no probes or tiny wick there, a tiny wick there. No wick. So very solid sell. 2 indecision candles, but it's formed a lower pivot. We've got a yellow hourly line there, which matches up, because what the other thing that happens is that you see this below these hourlies, which are stronger. The longer the time frame, the stronger the support and resistance. So we had a sell candle that broke and closed below the hour and then moved up. So it was resistance. It struggled along it and then it carried on the breakthrough. So is it now taking this line as support and coming back up for the 15-minute to come back down again? Or it could be carrying on down for the half hour. We don't know yet. It looks to me like it wants to make a retrace on the 15. That can sometimes happen, but these moves are less stronger than the hour and the half hour. So now I've got my charts marked up and I've got my range. And my range is that hourly at 882 and up here to that 961. And I know it's still in a downward trend. I can have a look and see what I want to do on the 15 minutes. So we're 12 minutes past, it's at the 900. 935 up there. So that level there is the highest range on our broker chart. Let's have a look what HourGlass is telling us. And 26 to 57. You can see it's bumbling along the bottom. So it's on that line of support. It's broken below, closed below our mid exponential moving average in the Bollinger Bands. And here are the 2 little indecision candles. So it gave us a call score of 3. It didn't like pushing up there. It's red now. It was blue, but it's red. So it looks like it's failing, doesn't it, to come up past that 904 area, that little green line. These are auto lines that are marked on. And it looks like it wants to drop on down. We need to check our currency strength meter. I do that very, very, very regularly. So it's 1 to 4. So US dollar very much stronger. So we only want to be taking sells. And on the this is a daily relative performance. US dollars these are strong at the top, parity in the middle, and then weakest at the bottom. So there's our Australian dollar. right down at the bottom, US dollar right up at the top. So we're correct to say we only want to take sells or puts, but it's a question of when, because if it's just bumbling along like this and consolidation and not doing very much, we can't do a lot with that. And here it's saying, you know, I'm in the oversold area, but as you can see, we're on 14 minutes past. So it's a little bit more difficult. You see that line? That's because it's the candle bars are doing nothing. Very difficult to press the button on a put when it's like that. You know, my tendency would be a put, but let's see what, I'm not going to press the button, by the way, because it's not up enough really where I want it. And that to me says it's carrying on down. Here is the peak. It's not going to turn up really on the 15-minute, but we want to see a put, then, you know, see a reversal and then take it. So we might have to wait for the half hour. We might have to just let this drop down and see then if it does a retest back up to the midline and then carries on down, because price always has to push one way in order to go the way it wants to go the other way. So that's why we say, you know, the bankers, the people that are the big investment funds and hedge managers that are driving the markets, that's why we say they buy to sell and sell to buy. So they will push price up in order to get, you know, get the position that they want and get people drawn in, and then they will drop the price, which is where they wanted to go in the first place. So you can see now on the 15-minute, it is turning. Gave us a call score of 3. Now I tend to only take call scores of 4. This is a more risky trade because you're going against the trend and everything I've just said. You can take it, but it's only a 3, not a 4. There's a lot of pressure on price to carry on down. So it gave it a call at 868, and it's not moving much on the broker. And in fact, because of the pressure on price, it didn't like it at all. And that's why that kind of trade is so much more risky. Here it is. And also see it's below. It's got to break through that yellow hourly. So that will make it struggle. It doesn't mean it can't do it, but that's why you're finding these tiny little candles, because it'll take a little while. Now, sometimes I like to show what happens right down in the minutiae. So I'm right down on the 15-second chart, very, very near the 1-second tick chart on the broker. And you can see it's not liking that level at all. It is pushing on down. And these candle bars, you see that these are called candle close channels. And that tells you this is in fact a put, not a call. It's a put every, you know, all day long. Because of everything we've just discussed on that 15-minute, even though the algorithm gave us a call, it's not liking it one bit. And that's a micro pivot, meaning that it hasn't yet formed a solid enough lower high. You see where it says LH up here with that red triangle, like that red triangle. That means it did form a decent enough lower high, which is telling you the trend is going down. But this is what we call a micro pivot. It didn't quite take it down far enough. Oh, and now it's given us a little green arrow. Remember, I'm right down on the 15-second there. So it's flashing on and off. It's struggling. It wants to go up, but it can't. And that's, let's come back out to a more sensible, let's see, 30-second. I'm on the 17 minutes past, and you can see the trend is still down. Now the candle close channel is leveled off. It did wick off that. There's the 15-minute, that doji candle. I'm on the 1 minute. It's wicked off our hourly line at 883, and it's now down at the 858. So it didn't like that call idea. There's the 5-minute candle that we trade off. Gave us a wick off there, and it's carrying on down. So as I've said, we only want to be taking puts. Just want to look up at USD JPY, still at 60. So we don't want to be trading that. Come back to, so we're down at, sorry, that was the broker chartered stuck. We're down at the 852. I come back to the 15-minute for you, and then we'll show that level 880, but our hourly line was at 883, round about exactly the same level, and 15-minute here, there was our hourly. In fact, it gave us 890 as a red line of resistance there, but it's saying call score of 4. The algorithm tells us it's oversold on the 5-minute. It's now down in the Bollinger Band. It's giving us a higher call score, but following the double blessing strategy and the market timing strategy of trades only on the quarters, the half and the hour, I will always now wait until the half hour to see if I want to take this as a call going against everything, because it will need to, you know, do a pullback at some point. And if it's going to do that, it'll do it on the half hour, unless there's red flag news, which we haven't got. Well, it's giving us a little blue candle there. But these are much more risky trades. You can take them. It's up to you. It's your money, not mine. Or do it on demo. That's a call score of 4 at 849. Oversold off the Bollinger Band. It's a blue candle. It's not market timing strategy to take it on the 20, but 20 and 25, or particularly 25, you can get the little pullback and then take it. That's what I'm going to do, is see if I can get a put rather than take the call against the trend there. So currency strength, let's check that. So you can take that one if you want to. Audusd, there it is, coming back up. So it's coming back up to, we hope, to test that level and then carry on down. So if I just go back to show you, that's what we call a bearish engulfing candle, completely engulfed the last hour's candle. Wrong one. It's just gonna, doesn't really matter. Just now, I'm just going to tidy that up. So there's my yellow hourly line on the current open. There was the previous highest point that it reached, and then that was the open of the previous one, 886 actually, which was the level I was saying, very important level. Powerful, too powerful on the lower levels for it to break through that on the call. And it's carrying on down now. So let's look back at the 15-minute to see where our lines are. So I've got my purple, which matches up with the yellow at that 884, 886 area, which we've just discussed. And the previous, just clone that. There's the previous close, whoops, which was a very solid close. Little probe up, really didn't like going back up, did it at 875. So we know we've got that zone there and those levels. And there's that little blue at 845, blue pivot saying it's support. But we've got this very strong move down. And then now I've marked, just corrected those lines a little bit there. Come up to the 5-minute, which is where we trade. And as I've said, there's your micro pivot, there's your hourly and 15-minute matching up, meeting that level there. So we had resistance, consolidation, breakthrough, support, closed below the hourly, whipped back up. So you can tell by this, it's still in its strong downward trend. Currency strength meter, 200 EMA, the hourly and the 15 minutes. So we've got a pullback. So we want to pull back up to this sort of zone of 876, 883, 885 for a put. Okay, so now we've tidied I can show you that this is the 5 minute. They're not as strong as the 15 minute and hourly and daily, hourly and daily. There's that 845 support matching up with that level, which was previously resistance. As I said earlier, if you were on at the beginning, the first 15 minutes, we went through it all, look left to see what's going to happen right. So now we're back in our zone and we know what we're doing, and it's 24 minutes past. Come back to HourGlass, and I'd just like to have a look here. Still saying call score of 4. Hasn't moved much. It gave to 849. It's 855. So if you're in that trade, you have to be extremely precise, and you might be struggling if there's any kind of broker spread. 863 on the broker. So at 20 past, it was round about this level. So you'd just about be all right. Yeah, you would have been all right on that. But that time-based traders, you've got to get all your analysis set up and be prepared. So here we are coming up 869, 877, moving up nicely. And there's our 884. So we want it back up there to take it for a put. And why do we want to take it for a put? Because we refresh our currency strength meter. US dollar's got a great deal stronger, 5 bars still to 1 on Australian dollar. These are what we call out of session pairs. So it's London, your pairs for London are Euro, GBP and CHF, the Swiss franc. So that's an Asian session pair, that's a New York session pair. So, you know, we're trading binary options, HFX, high frequency Forex. So we don't necessarily want the high volatility. And also there's red flag news on US dollar this afternoon at 2:30 my time. So we know we want to only be taking puts for the best chance of best probability. There's our 200 EMA pushing price down. Still 27, 26 on Australian dollar to 63 on US dollar. Put score of 2, very weak. So we don't want to be taking that. And I'm only at 26 minutes past. So this is a bit tricky because normally on market timing strategy, we like to turn on the hours and the half hours. I only want to be taking puts, but I was hoping for a bigger push back up to take the put because I'm still right. Doesn't mean it's going to, you know, reverse. It can just carry on tanking. Price will do what price wants to do. And we've got that next level down there. That's 770. That green line previously is down there. So your Bollinger Bands can widen and start dipping down. It does say B for buy, but I'm looking to see what's going to happen on the half hour. Now, that's riskier, I think, because if it comes to the Bollinger Bands and gives me a put score of 4, 5 or 6, I should be very tempted to take it for a call. Sorry, if it gives me a call score of 4, 5 or 6. But that's going against everything that I can see and understand from what's happening on this chart. So, you know, it can, if it's in very strong moves down, just decide it's going to tank on down. But if you look at what's happened here, this strong downward momentum to the Bollinger Band, up to the midpoint, breaks through, because price will always move between Bollinger Bands, whatever time frame you're working on, that comes up to the top. See, there's a half hour one, comes down to the hour. Sorry, it was a buy, and then on the hour, so it pushed up just before the hour, gave us that sell, which we took and the open of this session, which we won. It's closed below the midline. It's come down to the Bollinger Band. So it has to do some kind of wave, some kind of pullback. So that's 873 now. So it is coming up to our area. So 928, do not get into trades. Well, I don't tend to. There we are. It's just coming up. So we just want it to don't get into trades 28 or 29 because they can just go a bit crazy. So you might think it's peaked out there, but I'd like it to pop back up a little bit. Look, I'll show you on the 1 minute. Just peaking off it now, just pushing up. So I'm getting ready for a put. I want to leave it to 29 at 33 or 29.30, not just, it can just go a little bit crazy, and we don't want any stress. So I'm on the 1 minute here. I'm on the 1 minute, 884. It could in fact come up to 897 before it drops. It's 890, 29.22, 895. And HourGlass should give us a put. Hasn't quite got there yet. This is the it's just wicking off that level where I said the 895, the 5 minute candle is just about to open, so it should give us a put. It's only a put score of 2 though, which is a bit strange. It gave us a put score of 2. That's 869. Oh, just popping back up. But because I've done my analysis, I got in at 29.34 at 888. Using HourGlass really, but as a confirmation, but I'm coming off this 5 minute 15 and the hourly on the half-hour time. I can see that wick there. This is the 5 minute. It's just struggling to get through this 15 minute, and here it's going now. It should be going anyway. Oh, it's just struggling a little bit because it's sandwiched between those 2 levels. Let's see what's happening on the 1 minute. 877. So I'm in this, but that is being held, and we've got everything in our favor. I'm in this till 32.28. So I've got 1 minute to go. Now this next level down is 860, and we've got a little level down there, 854. There's that candle close down there. 860 is the midline. Come back to the 5 minute. 50, 860. Can you see where it was previously a line of support? So that's what I'm expecting it to come down to. And I've got 28 seconds, 30 seconds left to go. It's just sort of sandwiched a bit, which is why that put score on the HourGlass only gave you a 2, I think. 13. So I've got 8 seconds to go. So we'll clear that one. So that's 2-0 on this session. Oh, you little cheeky monkey. You cheeky monkey. So that's why, you know, if you look at the put score of 2, it wasn't up quite high enough. It wanted to pop back up. I'd done my own analysis and with great, if I say so myself, great precision. So I won that trade. But if you'd got in a bit later, if you got in at a lower price, if you hadn't read this correctly on the lower levels, then you may have lost that trade. So because sometimes it's imprecise, it can make its moves at 35. Now you can see it's pushing up. I'm on the 5 minute candle. It's pushing up through this level. So and that's why it's wavering, because this is very strong level for it to try and get through. So it's just pushed on up. It's formed a red pivot. There is at the 895. So, you know, I mean, price will do what it wants to do. If it's turning on the half hour to go up, it'll do that. I took and won that put, but it seems to want to say that it's, let's see what the hourly is, candle. Now, so if we come to the hourly, You can see it's wicking off 845. And here is this level we've been trading and it's wicking off it. It's not liking this level on the hourly. It's saying it's not strong enough now to engulf this blue buy candle. So that's why you're getting a put score of 2. That's why I had a very tight precision entry. And I could have nearly lost that if I hadn't been so precise on it. And that just comes from experience. Everything that I've read says the Australian dollar is still tanking, but it's struggling at this level on the half hour. Let's look at the 30-minute. So the 30-minute has used the 876 as a level of support on an old 15-minute line, and it's giving a retrace on the 15-minute. So, but wicking off it because we know there's a lot of pressure on price on the 15-minute. It says hidden there, by the way, directional trend still down. And then come to our 5-minute. So sometimes what I'm saying is trades can be a little bit tricky. There's the half hour on the 5-minute, there's our 30-minute, and it's 883. So it's still hovering around that level, wicking up, failing to break it. So there could be a trade at the 35, which will be, it's given us a put at 877. It's still a put score of 2. Price hasn't quite come back up, as we know. That's because this 883 level is all those lines of support and resistance that we've just been discussing. And this RSI, relative strength index, is telling you, well, I mean, you really want that up a bit higher. It's very sensitive. So you can see it's just leveled off there. So it's failing to break through that level is what it's telling you. But it's a little bit more tricky to take those trades, particularly when it only says 2 on it. Come to the 1-minute to show you. And so 35, there's the drop. I'm not going to take it. 889. So it came back up to retest the level that I took. It couldn't break through to the upside on the half hour, and it's still tanking. So if you had got in that at 30 minutes, and you could have rolled over if you'd been in a not in profit. If you had trustthetrade.com, as DL says, and you would be winning the trade now. So you have to understand when you put these lines on what it is that you are, where you are, and that you believe you're seeing the correct thing and that you've done the correct analysis, because here comes the drop. It's breaking through that 875 level. It just struggled because of everything we discussed with a 5-minute, a 15-minute and an hourly, and our market timing. So I got the drop without having to roll over. I did my trade. If you hadn't understood that analysis, I got in, off that probe a bit higher up, just 26 seconds before the 30-minute, without looking at other stuff. So I was pretty confident on that, and I would have been confident to roll over, but I didn't have to. But this is why it's struggling here, because it's just got to get through that traffic of that 15 minutes. So let me know what your results are. I'm not going to do any more trades on this session. But I hope that's been helpful for you. And let's look in the chat. Les, well done. 1, 2, 0. Yeah, cleared from Danny. Okay. Oh, I love a bowl of porridge. So thanks very much for joining. I'm going to stop the recording.